What's up, y'all? Welcome to the Chris Gunther Show. Thank y'all so much for watching. Kirsten, how you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm good. First of all, thank you for taking this time out. You're a very busy woman in the middle of covering the Dodgers right now, so I really appreciate it.
No problem. Listen, it is always fun to do things like this, and I'm really excited for the conversation we're going to have today.
Let's dive right into it. You've been doing your thing for a while now. Like, what made you decide to go into journalism and into broadcasting?
Yeah. So, I mean, when I was younger, uh, I didn't really make the decision until later, like around probably back end of high school. But I was an athlete and I was being recruited to different schools to play volleyball at. And while I was going through that just recruitment process, one of my favorite shows was College Game Day. It still is to this day. But like back then, I would really love watching it because it would help me get an understanding of what some of these schools look like and just like the football programs and the atmosphere. And I don't know, I really enjoyed it. And I realized it was like my favorite part when they would interview the coaches, the players, things like that. So when I first started watching it, it was Aaron Andrews was the host slash sideline. Then it was Samantha Ponder. And then I got to see Maria Taylor step in. And then I was like, wow, like I could really do this. I could see myself in this spot. So yeah, from watching that, my mom was kind of like, sounds like you want to be a journalist. So like you want to interview these players, like because the way I was looking at it, I was like, well, these are my friends. I'm training with most of these guys. We're all going off to college and kind of learning and seeing what it's like to be a student athlete and then beyond that. And so it kind of clicked then. So I'd say like end of high school. And then when I went to college, of course, I started at Northwestern and then there was in the Medill School of Journalism. So that's kind of where I got my first like foot in the door, I'd say. And I loved it. So it all just kind of took off from there.
What was it like for you when you first got started?
Um, well, I mean, I would say it was a lot to learn. So that was definitely an interesting experience. Yeah, so since we started like the academic space, it was a lot of just like whatever we were assigned and things like that. I remember randomly I covered this Halloween event at a nursing home, and that was like one of the first things I've ever covered when I was in school. So it was like random things like that, but it was really cool and just like talking to different people and learning their stories. I was like, wow, like I really enjoy this. So I actually ended up transferring from Northwestern to Columbia. So when I went to Columbia, I wasn't able to take any journalism classes because I don't have anything undergrad. So that's where I had to like kind of find different ways to get involved through internships. And I actually started, I was interning with CBS Sports Network, covering like not high school, excuse me, covering college basketball. That was like it was what tournament was it? I kind of want to say ACC, but I don't think it was the ACC tournament. Anyway, there was a big tournament going on, and just like being a part of that was the coolest thing ever. And that was when I realized I was like, oh, okay, this is like something I really want to do. So yeah, so I was interning with them, and I feel like I just got really lost in my story, but it's okay because we're gonna get to where this is going. But I would say just all of those little experiences and like different ways. It was mostly behind the scenes, but yeah, it just kind of was a reminder of like, no, there's not many other spaces in which you get to just talk to people every day and learn more about them and their story, and that was something I always really enjoyed.
How much fun is it for you now at this point in your career to kind of reflect and see, like, man, I really have come such a long way?
It's incredible. I mean, these are things that I dreamed of doing. You have to kind of sit back and take the minute to really realize all of the hard work you put in, and this industry is a grind, like very much so. And so to kind of take the time to recognize how far you've made it is um, it's a beautiful thing, and it's sometimes something that we don't often do. We often are trying to kind of get what's next, okay, well, I'm doing this now, but what am I going to do next? You're trying to think ahead so much and where your career is going to go, but sometimes you have to like just be in the moment. And I know like this past year I've had to really work on that because like things are incredible. I was not only am I with the Dodgers who won the World Series in 2020, and we've had players come in and they've been so close to winning again and all these different things, and that's insane. I work with future Hall of Famers literally every single day, and then I joined the Rams last year and they win the Super Bowl, and now I'm a part of that championship team. So it's, you kind of have to really take a minute to kind of just be like, wow. Or I know for my career, like I can say something which sometimes just sounds crazy to say out loud. Like I've covered the Los Angeles Lakers, the Los Angeles Rams, and the Los Angeles Dodgers. Like what? In what ways can you work in the top three sports, in your career? Some people will only ever work in one sport for their entire life. So, which is totally fine as well. But just to have that opportunity, it's quite special. And you definitely have to kind of take the time to sit back and realize it, but also recognize, like, for me, it took a lot of hard work to get here. I didn't start on camera. I started behind the scenes. I was a production assistant. I was an associate producer. I was a producer. And then I went into the business side. I was I was a marketing manager and things like that. And was overseeing like different projects. And a part of that was still with storytelling and being creative, but I had a very different role. I was managing people. And but all of that, and I never lost sight of what I wanted to do long term, and that was to be on camera and to be a reporter and a host. And so I made sure to vocalize what my like passions were, and I was lucky to have some incredible bosses who believed in me and also saw that, all right, well, you can be our marketing manager and you can also host our show. So works for me. Does it work for you? And I was like, oh, wow, you're right. Let's do this. And I just had to kind of balance my workload and make sure I was getting things done. But yeah, there are times where you do have to take a step back and kind of recognize, but also realize like all of the work you put in brings you to where you are today. And I do believe that like I wouldn't be in this role, or I wouldn't have some of the success that I've had without the things that I have done to get me here.
In this business, I have been told that having mentors or having, people that you look up to is something very significant, and it is actually needed. Who are some of the mentors that, you have looked up to that have kind of guided you along your journey?
Yeah. So I would say I have mentors, but I also have really good friends in this industry. I'd say with my mentors, I mean, it's one of those things that I've been very lucky that I have had bosses who I report to, who have truly been so impactful in my career. I won't say their names, but I will tell, because I mean, they're not necessarily like reporters or journalists or anything like that, but like my former boss, who's now the GM of NFL UK, like he is someone who not only did he believe in me, he invested in me. And I think that's a very important kind of distinction to, so there are people who will, give you advice and all these different things, but then there are also people who will provide you with opportunity. And that's huge. My boss at Spectrum Sportsnet, and even my producer here on the road with us, like these are guys who have truly, they're honest with me. They tell me, they support me, and when things go good, but they're also like, all right, hey, let's work on this. Let's try to maybe navigate the question in this way, or let's simplify it. Remember, just you need to get to the point and let the player, whoever, answer the question. So I'd say like those like specifically are some people who have really been like huge parts of my career. But then I have like I'd say like my friends who are in the industry, we're the ones who like, you really, especially as a young woman and just in general a woman in this industry, you have to really lean on each other, because they're the only ones who really understand what it's like navigating this space. So I mean, one of my best friends, we met each other when I was with her, Megan Triplett, and her listening to her experiences and what she's working on, or Maria Taylor's with us that weekend. She's obviously iconic, and so to be able to have her as a friend and as someone to look up to is huge. It's we all are truly, we deal with different things, and we are navigating this space, and trying to see ourselves in this space, which is something that we didn't necessarily always have before. Right. And it's huge. One of my best friends is MJ Acosta, and to watch her take the Total Access stage every weekday, I mean, it's truly iconic, and it's amazing, because it's like I have women in my life whether it be Megan, Maria, Joy, MJ, these people who have reached such high levels of success in this space, I get to call them as my friend. And I get to confide in them, and I get to, talk about life and hear their experiences on a very personal level. And so for me, that means the world, because not only are they a mentor in the sense of, yes, I get the opportunity to look up to them and learn from them, but they're also my friend and my peer. And we all get to have genuine conversation of what it's like to be a woman of color in this space. And it's amazing because it's like, we'll have dinners and we'll catch up. And yes, we'll talk about life, but, it's always nice to know that someone really understands what you're going through.
I agree. And you actually hit on something that I wanted to dive into a little bit deeper. Being a woman of color in this industry is not an easy thing, because years ago that was kind of unheard of. But now you see people such as yourself and Megan and Jamel Hill and Carrie Champion. Like, how great does elevating and succeeding and actually rooting for each other?
It's amazing. It's honestly amazing. Someone once told me this space was not made for us, but we are here and we are taking over. And I think that's actually very true. Everything from, look, now when you look on TV, it's so incredible when you see Malika Andrews or her sister or all of us, and now natural hairstyles, little things like that, which were unheard of, like, well, yes, I wear my hair primarily straight and I love it. Don't get me wrong. But like the fact that I know that if I wanted to, or if I chose to, I could do something different. Whereas before, I don't think that was necessarily a choice. Before, it felt like you had to fit into a very singular look of an image while on television, and how you had to present yourself. You had to appear to please to a very specific audience. And so, no, it's amazing. It's obviously it's different in different sports. So obviously in basketball coverage, you're seeing a lot more women of color. In football, there's more that are coming, and you get to, when I watch NFL Network, I'm so excited about, where there's new talent like Caleb Burton, or watching Kimmy Checks and MJ. There's just seeing all of that is really special. And then you have, of course, like on the sidelines, Christina Pink and Lisa Salters and things like that. Like, these are women who have completely listen, we're here to stay. And it's been made very clear. We just saw Lisa Salters be promoted to lead reporter in the NBA, which is incredible. And there's longevity and all these different things. So that part is really quite special, because I think when I was growing up, I know it was kind of like Robin Roberts. When I was young, that was who it. And I remember her story. I felt quite connected with, just because, well, my mother had breast cancer. Obviously, she had breast cancer, and just I was really into women's basketball growing up. I was obsessed with the WNBA, and so like to kind of just see her career, and then I watched her masterclass recently. Well, I guess like in the pandemic, and really, really good. But anyway, to see how there's now so many more. It really is. And it's just like we're in different spaces, like now you see that you can host a podcast, or you can have a show on a different network. It's not like you just have to be on Sports Center, or you just have to be on a sideline. There's so many different opportunities. I think it's fun with like how Sports Illustrated now has like their shows and seeing their talent, Ashley, and things like that. So it's really cool. Or even like Taylor Rooks with Bleacher Report. Like, that's not necessarily, I think back in the day when you look at, like when you were thinking about your career, it was like, okay, like local news, sports sideline, Sports Center, TV channel, whatever. And now it's like, no, you can go and work for Turner or Bleacher Report, and you can take off. And so I think when you have women who are like setting the tone and the standard, and especially when they're women of color, it just, I don't know, you get to see all the different sides of the opportunity that you could have in this space.
It is truly inspiring to see that, especially, as a young Black man that's still up and coming in this business, because I'll go ahead and share this. During All-Star weekend, I was, hosting the next gym game, and I was
Mhm.
so grateful for that opportunity. Myself and, the young queen DJ Ivy from the Dallas Mavericks,
Yeah.
she did phenomenal. I was just there trying to be like a sponge on the wall and just learn from everybody. And then once I seen you and Megan, I'll go ahead and say it now, I'm a huge fan. So I was just like, I've got to go over there and talk to her. Like, if I can just
I
get
love it.
maybe like a quick, 5 minutes, and you guys were just very nice and very down to earth, which that meant the world to me, because coming from where I come from in this small town that I'm in, a lot of people don't have that mindset to want to,
Mhm.
lift each other up and to want
Yeah.
to be able to encourage each other. So, what advice would you give to someone like me, or maybe a young woman of color that has a desire to, want to cover sports and storytelling, but it seems as if it's not necessarily going to work?
Well, I would say just keep believing in yourself. Because I had moments where I didn't think it was necessarily going to work. I was climbing the corporate ladder and was having a lot of success behind the camera. And I had to recognize that, like there's something I really believe in. So I'm going to put in the work to find a way to do it. And I will say, one, you are already doing that. You have this podcast and this show. You're reaching out to all, like you're finding, you're talking to the people you want to talk to. I had ideas of doing this and never could turn it into something, So it's like you're already one step ahead, if I'm being completely honest. Um, but I think it's just, you have to remind yourself and what you really want to do, and keep believing in yourself, and it will come, because look, it is coming for you. You mentioned it, the next gen at the All-Star, like you did that game, and that's a huge opportunity. And really, it just takes one, and then people will see you, and you kind of build from there. Uh, and then once you kind of get to a one level, then it keeps coming, like it's doors will open. So I would say, one, keep believing in yourself. And two, it is about us uplifting each other. Because in the end, I mean, how I was raised, I wouldn't be doing my job if I wasn't creating a space for someone to look like me, come in behind me, if that makes sense. I really was raised with the idea of, if you can open a door, you need to open it for others, and make sure that you're creating a space that is inclusive, and that, we can feel safe and we can be a part of these. And other people did that for me. I mean, I wouldn't be here without the Robin Roberts, the Oprahs, the Carrie Champions, the Jamels, all of these different people, Maria Taylor, like they set a standard, creating opportunity for other young women. And on the male side, it's the same thing. Um, so I think it's just a reminder of, that there is space and there's opportunity, and it's just continuing to knock on those doors until, because that's the other thing about this industry. It can be subjective. Someone's going to say no. You're going to get a lot of no's, but you're also going to get a yes. And when you get that yes, put everything into it, and then more yeses will come. Um, but I mean, it took me a long time to get on air. So I'm not going to sit here. I know I look super young, but I'm actually not that young. I mean, I am. That's a lie. I'm very young, but
Black don't
like,
crack.
you know what I'm saying? Like, everyone's like, oh, she's like 22, and I'm like, cool. I mean, thank you, but like, no. So, but I just say that you have to remind yourself it takes time. And I also think, like, when those posts come out, when like, I think it was Oprah who didn't like get her show, or like her radio show, until maybe like 31, 32. Like, there's a reminder, like, things take time, um, and allow yourself to grow and be your best version of yourself. Because also, like, when you do get to these spots, it's high pressure, it's a lot going on. So you do want to be the best version of yourself for it.
How do you encourage yourself to keep going even when you get to that level? Because face it, everybody doesn't get a chance to cover the Dodgers and cover the Rams. And I'm gonna go ahead and put this plug in here. Maybe they won because Kirsten Watson was on the staff covering. Just saying.
I do think I'm a good luck charm, but I'm just kidding.
I'm not. Think about it. I mean, face it. You covering them, they win. And
Except for
maybe
I
if
need
you,
my good
go
luck
back
to
to
carry
cover my
over to the
Lakers, we might
Dodgers.
win something. Just saying.
But no, I mean, I will say, um, you motivate yourself because it's what you want to do. You do have to, if you want it badly, then you don't forget that. I wanted this really badly and I want more. So it doesn't stop here. And that's what motivates me every day, to continue each day to get better. Um, because yeah, I mean, I want to be the best, and do that, you have to work really hard. And so, um, and it's like you'll find what works for you. So as much as I love being a sideline reporter and covering these guys every day, like I've realized, as kind of maybe in my next step or two steps of life, I want to be more host and in studio, just based off what I want for my life. And I want a family and things like that. And I'm not saying you can't have a family and be a sideline reporter, because you definitely can. But
Mm-hmm.
for how I would like to live my life, I think I would prefer to be in a more studio role, things like that. And I'm allowed to say that and be honest with myself, because I know that if I want to have it all, I can have it all. And I think sometimes, obviously with being women in this space, and those are challenges that some people try to put in front of us, of like, how do you get to have both or balance both? I'm not even having those conversations. I'm gonna have both. We will figure it out, because everyone else has figured it out to this point. So yeah, so I think it's just a matter of, you have to decide where you want to be, and having these different roles allows you to see that and figure out what's next. So I'd say that's probably like one of those things that keeps motivating you as well.
If you could have one night to be at a dinner table with you and some of the most popular and some of the best women of color broadcasters and reporters, who would you like to sit at that table with?
That's a good question. I'm just gonna be like my girlfriends. It's gonna be this huge table. And to be fair, we have had tables like this before. So like this isn't even a dream at this point, because we have done this. So like I'm gonna say it would be all of us. I think Joy did a really good job this last Super Bowl, and she brought a whole bunch of women in sports together, for like drinks and a soiree type thing. And it was so much fun, because it's like you're friends on social media, then you finally get to like see each other in person. But I'd say like the dinner table I'm going to is going to be a big one. Okay, it's going to be fabulous. It's going to be a long stretch. Like, actually, let's make it, no, it should be a rectangle. I was thinking maybe it should be a circle so everyone could be in the conversation, but we might just have to like switch chairs here and there. But I will say I've been really blessed that like in different circumstances, I've been at a table with some of these people before, which has been amazing. But I'd say it's like, I feel like I can't leave people out. But all right. Okay. So it's gonna be Robin Roberts, MJ, Joy, Maria, Megan. Um, I feel like I want the whole ESPN NBA crew. So that's everyone from like Christine, Monica, Malika, Kendra, like the whole squad. Bring them all in.
Oh yeah.
Roz. I'm like, we could have everyone in there. We're gonna talk to the NFL crew. And if we're just saying women of color, listen, I'm bringing everyone. So it is going to be the largest dinner party probably ever, but it would be so amazing. So yeah, I don't know who. I don't know. I also was told that sometimes you shouldn't meet your heroes, because I would be like, maybe like Oprah. No, I definitely, if I had the choice for just like a one-on-one, it'd be Robert Roberts.
I don't blame you, because like Oprah is like the standard for all kind of like talk shows and
Yeah.
reporters and journalists. Like Oprah is really the greatest of all time when it comes to
Yeah,
that.
no,
And
she's the
it's
goat for
not
sure.
even close.
No, she's iconic. She's iconic. We love her.
We love her, and we love you as well for being with us. I do know you're a very busy woman and you got to, jet up out of here. But as we're coming down the last few questions, this is something that I always ask my lovely guests. Who would you like to see on the Chris Gunther show as a guest? And if you have any contact information, can you help a young brother out?
Yeah, of course, I got you. I would say you should talk to Megan. I think she would be a really great person to talk to. Can you remind me where you're from?
Youngstown, Ohio.
Got it. Okay. So she is from Memphis, Tennessee.
Oh,
And I
yeah.
think that you would love talking to her, because she is, well, my favorite person to talk to. So she would be amazing. You can't go wrong. You really can't go wrong. And the other thing in this space is, and I don't know if I don't think I said this, but everyone's journey is different. And that's really important to note. Like, I can't look at Megan or even Maria Taylor and be like, oh, I'm going to do that exact same journey that they had. Because I can't. You physically cannot. The only times maybe some people's journey are similar is if you go through like local news and you just 2 years here, 2 years there, and you build your way up. But so that's what makes this industry very hard because you're like kind of like, oh well, guess we're out here making our own paths. So I will say that, but that's the other cool part is you get to hear everyone's journey and how they got to where they are, and then you also recognize like you're not alone in that experience. So I would say that I'd say you should talk to Megan if you haven't already, or have you already talked to her?
We've talked about it a few times, so I did reach
Okay.
out to her. I'm just waiting for a response, so I'm gonna go
Yes.
ahead and keep
Well,
shooting my
I'll
shots
text
and see
her.
what can work.
I will text her, and it's now NBA off season for her. So now is probably a good time.
Yeah, see and I'm a huge basketball fan, and the finals, is in the trenches right now, and I know it's getting
Yeah.
ready to end. So all of them that work in the NBA during the NBA
Yeah.
season, off season is coming up. So
Yeah.
people like Monica and Kendrick,
Mhm.
Stephen A. I'm gonna be shooting y'all some DMs, man. I need y'all to hit your boy back. All right.
Exactly. No, that's the biggest thing is the schedules are very demanding. So you do have to kind of find the time in the off season. Like for example, I have been in 3 different cities, worked a game every day, but also baseball's insane. So it's okay.
Well, I hope one day I can be able to say that in terms of basketball. Like, I was just in Boston, then I had to go to the Knicks and LA. Like, I just want to have some fun doing it and look good
You
on
will.
camera. Ladies and gentlemen,
Listen.
nothing else needs to be asked. Before we jump up off here, Kirsten, can you give us, your social media, and if you have any things coming up, how can people support?
Yeah, I'm just at Kirsten_Watson. So follow me. Let's get those followers and watch a Dodgers baseball game, and you will find me.
We got you. And I definitely did give you a follow a while ago. So, hey, this is kind of cool. Ladies and gentlemen, nothing else needs to be asked. Kirsten Watson on the Chris Gunther Show. Keep my theme song. I'll see y'all next time.